You're going to want to hear this.
We opened a center in Silicon Valley back in 2017. And the woman who runs it, she's an ex-Facebook executive. I have software engineers and data scientists working at ADL. We're monitoring all this stuff. And we're working with all the platforms, by the way. Google and YouTube and Meta and Twitter and Reddit and Steam and Amazon, all these companies. From like Apple to Zoom, we work with all of them, okay? That's relevant because we've been working with Twitter now since it was founded. We worked with the old regime, working with the new regime. Like I'm talking to Elon, and we're trying to work with them.
He's literally bragging out loud about how they have daily meetings with all the social media companies. Sorry, not even just social media platforms. He said Zoom, private conversations in order to censor speech they do not like. And let's just be 100% straight up. The ADL is not a civil rights group. It is an intelligence organization operating within the United States on behalf of another country.
All right, Shalom. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. I'm back with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit, the Rakah Kwadash. And jumping right into this article here, this is from humanevents.com. The headline reads, it says, just in, UK police to monitor social media post critical of immigration. All right, so things are starting to get critical now. All right, and as we warned you all that these devils would no longer hide their hands. Okay, all of your data and information is being collected. Okay, all of your social media posts, what you watch, what you subscribe to, it's all being tracked and watched. Okay, this is all part of that wrath that's coming down. Okay, and as these same things are going on in the UK, all right, the same things are going to happen here in America too. Okay, anybody that's speaking out against the immigration, the concentration camps that are being set up, okay, they have everybody marked. Basically, your what's it called? Your digital footprint. Okay, it's all being tracked. Okay, it says here, concerns for free speech are on the rise, as the police have been tasked to monitor posts to flag signs of unrest. All right. So anybody that's speaking out, that's speaking contrary to the system, all right, you're being flagged for sedition, unrest. Okay. Basically being a rebel, right? Because just like we saw in the intro here, right? Anybody that's speaking out against the JOO, the small hat, all right, they're ready to arrest you, to throw you in prison, all right, to put you under charges, man. Okay, this is a very heavy time we're living in, man. Persecution, again, is at the doorstep of this thing. All right, so we got to continue to remain vigilant, right? So reading on this article here, it says, an elite team of police, right? An elite team of police in the UK is getting ready to monitor sentiment critical of immigration online amid fears that there will be unrest in the summer related to immigration, according to the Telegraph. The outlet reports that detectives from around the country, right? The outlet reports that the detectives from around the country to be part of a new law enforcement unit that tracks social media posts related to immigration to flag early signs of unrest. However, the unit has gotten pushback over concerns of free speech. The unit, which is put together by the Home Office, will, quote, maximize social media intelligence. You see that? This is all part of the beast, man. It says, which is put together by the Home Office, will, quote, maximize social media intelligence gathering. Okay, as I said, all intel is being gathered and collected. It comes after some were critical of law enforcement last year when there were riots. There have been a number of protests taking issue with the level of immigration that has taken place in the UK. And it's the same thing over here. in America. It says, including the cities of Norwich, Leeds, and Bournemouth. More demonstrations are also planned for Sunday. It says, concerns over free speech, however, have also mounted with the creation of the unit. Two-tier Kier can't police the streets, so he's trying to police opinions instead. They're setting up a central team to monitor what you post, what you share, what you think, because deep down they know the public don't buy what they're selling, right? Yeah, a lot of people see, all over the world that the people who run their governments are bought and paid for, man. They're all shields, they're all puppets, man. That's why there's been so many different types of revolts and rebellions taking on worldwide, man. Okay, 'cause everybody's fed up. It says Shadow Home Secretary Chris Phillips said, it says, quote, Labor has stopped pretending to fix Britain and started trying to mute it. This is a prime minister who's happy to turn Britain into a surveillance state, but won't deport foreign criminals, won't patrol high streets, won't fund frontline policing. All right. And the rest reads on, right? Let me get a quick scripture, because people are, like I said, people are fed up, and that's part of prophecy, right? 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter. All right, this is 2nd Ezra 9. In 1, it says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. The point. Therefore, when there should be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, all right, we've been seeing that over the years, man. People have been protesting and rebellion all over the world against their current governments, okay? Because people see that all of their politicians and prime ministers and such are all bought and paid for, man. Okay? It says, and that's why people are rising up. It says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. And this all ties into the end. Okay? The crackdown, man. The great wrath. Right? This is Amos 5:13. It says, therefore, the prudent shall keep silent at that time. The prudent shall keep silent in that time, for it is an evil time. You see that? So the prudent, going back to basically the prophets, man. Okay, we're coming into that time of the famine of the word, man. Okay, where they're gonna do away with so-called, freedom of speech. Okay, where you're gonna be labeled and categorized as being a domestic threat for speaking out against, immigration and what these small hats are doing around the world, man. Okay? So that's the time we in, man. The persecution. All right? Amos 8:11. It says, behold, the days come, saith the Lord power, Yahweh Shem Shai, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai. All right? So as we heard again in the intro here, okay, these small hats are tapped in. They're tapped in all social media platforms, man. Okay, they're meeting with the government. They're meeting with these platforms daily. This is back in 2017, so how much more now, man? Okay, they're ready to fully crack down and control the narrative and control everything that's going out, man. Okay, so the days that are coming are very evil, man. Okay, there's gonna be a famine of the word, man. They're gonna remove this word off of social media, off of YouTube, man, off these different platforms. Okay? It says, and they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east, they shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, and shall not find it. All right? So that's how serious this thing is getting, man. Okay? We're coming to that point where it's going to be a crime to speak the truth. In that day that shall the fair in that day shall the fair virgins and young men faint for thirst, all right? Because there's going to be a lack of the true living water. All right? The understanding of these scriptures, man. The Lord is about to shut this thing up. All right, like the scriptures say in Ezekiel, how the Lord is going to cause the words of the prophets, the tongue of the prophets to cleave, to their mouth. Let me see if I can find it. Ezekiel, the 5th chapter, I want to say. It's going to cause their tongue to cleave. All right, bear with me. Let me find that real quick. He said tongue and cleave, right? Cleave. Yep, Ezekiel 3:26. It says, and I will make thy tongue cleave to the roof of thy mouth, all right? And this is basically a metaphor how the Lord is going to cause the prophets to stop speaking. It says, thou should be dumb and shall not be to them a reprover, for they are a rebellious house. So again, the Lord is getting ready to really, shut this word up. Okay? These devils are preparing to come down and start arresting people, man. That's speaking out against anything, man. Again, this is all another component of the beast. Okay? Social credit scores. All right? You're going to be judged on the content that you put out on the internet, man. Okay? Because these devils have everything. Everything that's put online it doesn't disappear. They have records of everything, man. All right? So these times that we live in are very serious, man. All right? And I wanted to play this this video again just to add on, right? Because I did a lesson going into this video again, but just to show you that, hey, we living in some very evil and serious times,
FBI is watching what you watch on YouTube, and they can ask Google to hand over your personal information. That means your name. FBI is watching what you watch on YouTube, and they can ask Google to hand over your personal information. That means your name, your email address, your home address, your phone number. They have been doing this. I know this is not shocking, but it's still upsetting. This was reported last week by Forbes. They say that federal investigators have ordered Google to provide information on all viewers of select YouTube videos. Now, you may not have watched any of these YouTube videos, but it's the precedence that matters here, right? Because you watch things, whether you think you do or not, that the algorithm serves to you, and then you make a decision. So here is what has happened. In a just unsealed Kentucky case reviewed by Forbes, undercover cops sought to identify the individual behind the online moniker Elon Musk WHM, who they suspect of buying Bitcoin for cash. So that was the reason they were after this channel. Now, in conversations with the user in early January, undercover agents sent links of YouTube tutorials for mapping via drones and augmented reality software. Then they asked Google for information on who had viewed the videos, which had been viewed over 30,000 times. Now, the court order shows that the government is telling Google to provide them with names, addresses, telephone numbers, and user activity for all Google account users who access the YouTube videos in January of 2023.
Real quick, let me grab a scripture. All right. I just want to play that again, just to remind everybody, But this is Psalm 56, verse 1. It says, "Be merciful unto me, O power, for man would swallow me up. He fighting daily oppress me. My enemies would daily swallow me up, for they be many that fight against me, O thou most high." All right? Because, hey, the whole system is going to come against us. Okay? "What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. In power I will praise his word. In power I have put my trust. I will not fear what flesh can do unto me. Every day they wrest my words, all their thoughts against me for evil." You see? And that's exactly what Esau's doing now. Okay? They're trying to build a case Verse 6, the point. They gather themselves together, they hide themselves, they mark my steps when they wait for my soul. And this is what they're doing, man. They're marking, everything is being marked, categorized, watched. You see? So they can have, so they can be justified to make their move. Okay, that word mark. You see? To guard, to keep guard, observe, give heed, to keep guard, to keep watch, war, protect. Okay, so that's what they're doing. They're watching, you know. So let's go back.
The government also wanted IP addresses of non-Google account owners who viewed the video, and they argued there's reason to believe that these records would be relevant and materials to an ongoing criminal investigation, including by providing identification information about the perpetrators. Okay, so that's a lot, right? You just stumble upon a video. Now the government knows where you live, and they're watching you. They want your IP address, and even if you were watching anonymously, they want you unveiled, unmasked. And did Google...
Yeah, so how much more of those that's watching the true prophets, man? You know, they're really watching you. You know, you watching the videos from the apostles, elders, the bishops, the different camps. All right, you getting fed the truth. You know, you getting understanding. All right, you're aware of the times and seasons you live in, who the Edomites are, who the Israelites are. Right, the prophecies. You know?
Will do it? Well, Forbes cannot confirm if they did or not, but the court did grant the request. In another case, the feds found a live stream of a guy in New Hampshire that had made a bomb and requested that Google provide a list of accounts that viewed and or interacted with the live streams and the associated identifying information during specific timeframes. So like the Twitter files, we see the government getting increasingly comfortable asking for this information behind social networks, right? Right? Mm-hmm. It's not make anybody else nervous? You don't like it? You like it?
No.
Okay.
Well, like Anthony Goodley says in the chat here on Rumble, the Fed's setting up a honeypot, then asking YouTube for user data of those who watched it is such BS. So was it a honeypot video, this particular, like they were putting this out there, or they were using it as a catch-all?
They did send it out on their own. They weren't actually the ones doing it, but they, they sent out the link and then saw who is going to interact with them. Now, Forbes spoke to privacy experts who said this is concerning, and here's why. They said this is unconstitutional because it undoes protections of the First and Fourth Amendments covering free speech and freedom from unreasonable searches. This person here says this is the latest chapter in a disturbing trend where we see government agencies increasingly transforming search warrants into digital drag nets. It's unconstitutional, it's terrifying, and it happens every day. He says no one should fear a knock at the door from police simply because of what the YouTube algorithm serves up. I'm horrified that the courts are allowing it. I am too. He said this is just chilling. And this person at the bottom, another privacy expert, says, what we watch online can reveal deeply sensitive information about us, our politics, our passions, our religious beliefs, and much more. It is fair to expect that law enforcement won't have access to that information without probable cause. This order turns this assumption on this head. So the courts are allowing it. Google.
Yeah, of course they are. All right. That's Isaiah. Let's get that too. Isaiah 10 in verse 1, it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, right? So again, Esau is not bound, by his own laws, all right? They don't have to obey the so-called Constitution, man. All right, remember, he makes the rules and breaks the rules, man. Okay, so they have access to everything. They're watching everything. Okay?
I mean, you can't blame the feds for asking, right? They want something, they ask. You can blame a judge for allowing it, and that's exactly what our judicial system is doing. And yeah, it's scary to think you could be surveyed just by what the algorithm shows you. But again, we should not be surprised by this, and we should not be surprised that they think Google will be their patsy for this, because as former State Department cyber expert Michael Benz recently pointed out on Tucker Carlson's show, Google was basically started by the CIA.
Google is a great example of this. Google began as a DARPA grant by Larry Page and Sergey Brin when they were Stanford PhDs, and they got their funding as part of a joint CIA-NSA program to chart how, quote, birds of a feather flock together online through search engine aggregation. And then 1 year later, they launched Google and then became a military contractor quickly thereafter. They got Google Maps by purchasing a CIA satellite software, essentially. And the ability to to use free speech on the internet as a way to circumvent state control over media in places like Central Asia or all around the world was seen as a way to be able to do what used to be done out of CIA station houses or out of embassies or consulates in a way that was totally turbocharged. And all of the internet free speech technology was initially created by our national security state. VPNs, virtual private networks, to hide your IP address. Tor, the dark web, to be able to buy and sell goods anonymously. End-to-end encrypted chats. All of these things were created initially as DARPA projects or as joint CIA-NSA projects to be able to help intelligence-backed groups to overthrow governments that were causing a problem to the Clinton administration or the Bush administration or the Obama administration. And this plan worked magically from about 1991 until about 2014, when there began to be an about face on internet freedom and its utility.
There you go. All right. This is let's grab this scripture here. This is Psalm 37:14. It says, "The wicked have drawn out the sword," and this is part of that. All right, they have drawn out the sword. Okay, everything's being watched. All right, they're flagging people as potential domestic threats, signs of unrest. Okay, so they're ready to make a move. All right, it says, the wicked, Psalms 37:14, "The wicked have drawn out the sword, and they have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy, and slay such as be of upright conversation." Right, those that are speaking the truth, man. You know, we have the upright conversation, this word. Okay, they're ready to condemn that. All right, they're ready to come against the men of the Lord. Same chapter, Psalms 37, in verse 32. It says, "The wicked watcheth the righteous and seeketh to slay him." See, this is what it's all about. Okay? But as we know that the Lord is going to fight our cause. All right? He's going to be in the midst because, hey, at the end of the day, all right, these devils, they don't have nothing on us anyway. All we doing is reading the scriptures. We're not causing no harm. We're not causing any type of civil unrest. All right? We're just simply prophesying, man. All right? So at the end of the day, when they try to come with these charges, they're not going to stick, man. Okay, we're innocent in the eyes of the Lord, and the Lord's going to be with us, right? Lamentations 4:18, "They hunt our steps, that we cannot go on our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of heaven. Of the heaven they have pursued us upon the mountains. They lay wait for us in the wilderness," right? And these devils are laying wait, man, for that opportunity to frame us, all right, to chump, those bogus charges on us, man. All right? We see how it's going. Okay? And just to, add on, because as we talked about the other day at camp, right? All these distractions, the Epstein files and all of that, but these devils are constantly expanding, concentration camps across America. All right? This is from America's First Report. It says, FEMA offering $608 million for states to detain illegal aliens. Right? It says the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, has launched a new program that will provide more than $608 million in funding for states to detain illegal immigrants in state-run facilities, right? So they're really expanding this thing. Okay, and like I said, it's beyond the immigrants, as we already know. The grant program, dubbed the Detention Support Grant Program, is intended to ease overcrowding in short-term holding facilities operated by U.S. Customs and Border Protection, according to FEMA documents posted on the government website. It says it aims to help expand the detention capacity of states and local governments as the Trump administration ramps up immigration enforcement efforts targeting illegal immigrants, the document stated. FEMA said that the program will provide states with grants to offset the cost of holding illegal immigrants in state-run detention facilities until they are transferred to Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE custody. Recipients and sub-recipients may use grant funds for the cost of sheltering aliens in a detained environment, the agency stated. It says the grant program came as the administration has intensified efforts to detain and deport illegal immigrants in the country. President Donald Trump said last month that he had directed his administration to put every resource possible to carry out what he called the largest mass deportation operation of illegal aliens in history, right? Full force. It says, jumping down, it says the Alligator Alcatraz facility in the Everglades has the capacity to hold up to 3,000 illegal immigrants. DeSantis said the first deportation flights carrying 100 illegal immigrants departed from this facility. The other countries this week. Homeland Security Kristi Noem announced on July 12th that her office was in talks with 5 Republican-led states on the construction of detention centers modeled after Florida Alligator Alcatraz. All right. We have had several other states that are actually using Alligator Alcatraz as a model for how they can partner with us as well. She told reporters. Noam declined to name the states, right? So the rest reads on. So, hey, we're at that point, man. All right? Things are getting very critical. This is the time, man. So I pray this quick lesson was edifying, and shalom to the next one. Shalom.